Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Shabbos show. This is something like number 31 or 32, and we just wait every Friday for us to come together so that we can celebrate each other and talk about this amazing gift that we Jewish people have of Shabbat.
Debbie, this is 32nd show, as you said, and holy moly, this is a lot of stuff. We have talked about everything
Maybe.
imaginable. You would think it's everything imaginable, but we haven't. There may be one or two things that we haven't thought about. So, with that being said, once again, what is all this stuff?
I don't know. If I stand back, I'm wondering if the device will show it better. I don't know.
Maybe if I do a tree.
Maybe if you do a tree. Well, we have all of these things in front of us. Let's see if I go like this with my hands, if it'll show. You never know which way the camera is going to work. Ah, there
Oh
it is
wow!
pulling back. You see all of these things? All of these things have one commonality. They are Jewish ritual objects. So I want you to take that in one more time. Jewish ritual objects. And you may ask yourself, what's so big about that? Sure. Liz, you may say, what's so big about that? I know how to light the Hanukkah candles, or I know about the Havdalah, or how to spin a dreidel, or how to put tzedakah in the box. Hi, Lolly. But that's exactly what I want to talk to you about, coming from the perspective of this yoga teacher, right? This has been on my mind so much lately. I've been trying to really think about it and get it figured out. And so here's what I've come to. When I was a kid, I was in gymnastics at the J, lived there, all those kinds of things. I have always been a person who really got high using my body. Sports, crawling around, dancing. What's your favorite part of a wedding? I'm going to give you a minute. What's your favorite part of a wedding?
Uh, Dancing, picking up, having being picked up with my bad back, I shouldn't pick up anyone. But I'm just joking. I've helped a lot of people pick them
Yes,
up
you have.
and sing and dance and do the hora. How much fun is that?
Yeah, and it's different from, there are things that are meaningful, all kinds of things, from reading in our prayer book to responding back to singing, but I take it in best when my body gets to do something. And funny as it seems, it's all the mindfulness practice that I crave. Of course, I didn't really even understand the word mindfulness until, say, 5 or 6 years ago. But all of a sudden, everything is coming together for me. And I'm learning that in here, in this beautiful wood box, are the cloves. These are the Havdalah spices. Ugh, my body needs to use the gifts that we have received from God. My body wants to smell things. My body wants to taste things. My body wants to arrange the candles in the Hanukkah. My body wants to put the quarter, like my old days when I was at Temple Emmanuel Religious School, right here. And back then we called it Karen Ami. My body just wants to do things to be in this relationship with God. And I know that Jewish people are often referred to as the people of the book. And I respect this greatly. And it makes so much sense. And I get that. And I love to think and pray from my heart quietly and meditate. But two, here's my friend Randy Romick, and she just said breaking the glass is her favorite part of the wedding. So I just want you to think of all of the rituals that we have in Judaism that help your Judaism really speak to you, that really help you hold on, because we have an awful lot of them. So we thought we would go through it. And, during this time together, maybe it's time to look at the rituals that you very often use, sometimes without even thinking, and perhaps add one more. I don't know, maybe adding another ritual will help your body take it in. Embodying just means that you feel it in your body, right? So you could taste something, or you could color and draw something. What might you want to take in? What ritual have you ever perhaps looked at and said, we should do that? A great example of that is Havdalah. Many of us kind of just skip and don't do that. The prayers are pretty cinchy. It's easy to have the stuff. This is a beautiful Havdalah candle. And of course, when you extinguish it, talk about embodying, right? You've got this candle on fire, this nice, beautiful flame, and psh, it goes right. That's a good sound effect, right?
It's really good sound effect. Now, for listener out there, I don't think Shakespeare could have done this better in making the imagery and the symbolism of the end of Havdalah, of
Yeah.
putting that in and saying it's the end, and the Sabbath Queen is gone until next week. How great is that?
There's just all these beautiful things. Today we get online and we make a lot of gifts or donations from the computer, but I'll never forget being a kid in religious school and how it sounded when the coins dropped in here, and how you might shake that box and you knew it was full.
It may be time to to take these coins and give it away.
Yeah, could do
Start
that
over.
too. Right. I mean, so these are all acts of embodiment. These are all things that we get to do. And there's all kinds of acts of embodiment. We could dance, we could do all kinds of things, but in particular, I'm actually looking for the Jewish ones. And a lot of things that you may not have thought of lately are ritual objects that you could utilize. We have in front here to fill in. Okay, I'll tell you one of mine to really embody is Saturday night. Barry and I love to go out for dinner, and I found this beautiful ring,
Yeah, right.
right? At the Jewish Museum in New York, and I love it. And so it is actually a copy of a very ancient tzedakah box that was worn as a ring. And so my cloves are in here because I can't let go of it Saturday night when we go out. So I wear this ring that is, I know, you might call it eccentric.
It's not eccentric, but no one's ever going to rob us with that ring on your finger. I can tell you that.
But I'm not quite ready to give up those cloves, on Saturday night. Let's see. And I told you, here's the tefillin, here's the tzedakah box, Havdalah candle. You know what you really embody? What holiday?
It's backwards, so you see. So anyone that doesn't know Hebrew can read it.
Passover is that holiday. And, I have always heard it said that almost every Jew, no matter what you have abandoned or walked away from, or what you don't have time to practice, that so many people, if they could just hold on to one thing, they hold on to Passover Seder. And I don't think that that's a shocker, because I think it feels very good to us to put on the parsley and boil the egg and make the harosis and run around and find a shank bone. I think that all of these Jewish rituals and Jewish embodiment things that we can do really feel good to the soul and remind us that we are Jewish. It's not quite the same as coloring another picture or dancing, to rock and roll, although all those things are really cool. I love the Jewish things we get to do. So
I think Passover, it was what you just said. Everyone, even if you don't practice Judaism, and even if you kind of got you just failed, you ended up just going away, but you still do Passover, and you may even sneak in a piece of matzah, because it just brings you back to just a little bit of Judaism.
How about searching for the afikomen?
In fact, I think you stole me a quarter. I went.
Yeah, why do the kids get all the fun? Now, what do you have right here?
Well, how about yarmulke? Some people wear a yarmulke or a kippah. Some people don't. It's okay either way, right?
Sure.
But Oh, what's this? This is from a bar mitzvah, a b'nai mitzvah with the nephew and niece Ari and Jolie Levy.
Hmm.
How fun was that?
Very fun. How
Uh,
about that?
how about this? A little tallis, nothing special, except this is the one I wore in my bar mitzvah. So, gosh, it's over 30 years old,
And you wrap yourself in it.
maybe more.
How about when we got married, getting wrapped up in that same tallis?
Got wrapped up in a tallis, and don't forget walking 7 times around. And what some people are doing now, they're walking 7 times or splitting it between the man and the woman. It's just
Or the
terrific.
man and the man, or the woman and the
Oh, I'm
woman?
sorry. Man and man or woman and woman. It doesn't really matter. It's terrific.
Yeah, our couples, really taking that moment to embody what they're doing, saying, I want to take care of you. I want to circle you in nourishment. I want to circle you in nurturing and love. Love that part.
It's pretty cool. Oh, what's this guy?
A really cool dreidel from
What's
Israel.
coming up? One of the best songs ever. Dreidel, dreidel, dreidel. I made it out of something other than clay, but it's too close to clay.
Which really brings me to something. Let me think about this. At Temple Shalom, isn't that the dreidel collection?
Either Temple Shalom or Shereth Israel, but you may be
No,
right.
no, I'm not thinking about Sheriff.
Okay.
I was either thinking it's Temple Shalom or it's Anshe, but actually I'm certain it's Temple Shalom.
I'm
That
going to agree
Rabbi
with you.
has this amazing dreidel collection. And here's the point I was making with that. There's actually a tiny dreidel made of mud from the Holocaust. Our bodies cry out so much to do things that bring us closer to God, that whether we're in the best circumstances or the worst circumstances, we are drawn to do things with our hands, to spin the dreidel, to enjoy our customs. Jackie's right. She says it's Temple Shalom. Thank you, Jackie. And there's this dreidel, and almost more than any artifact I've seen in a while, it just it as it should, it just makes us feel very emotional. How about the fact that we have all of these different Torah pointers to hold, and we don't just use anything. It's we choose something to point to the words in the Torah with intention and not use our finger. So,
And 3 weeks ago, we had Simchas Torah.
oh,
Talk about embodiment, walking around and going from the end to the beginning. How great is that? It's great for everyone. And then what do we do? And in a lot of synagogues and temples, they hand out the little Torahs they have, I can't remember what it's
consecration.
called. Consecration. And then it's either then, and sometimes they have it around Shavuos. It's just terrific.
It's true. So lately during this time, I have been thinking I want to do more. I want to embody different practices and customs even more because I love the ones I have. And I want to enrich it, and I want to explore, and I want to find out, do I love this? Does this work for me? Does this or that bring me closer to God or enhance my relationship with God? And so we're doing something new at our home. And this is the Natilot Yadayim. So Barry and I bought this cup from the Judaica shop, and you'll notice it has two handles, and many of you are completely familiar with this practice. I have no reason to explain it to you, but what the heck, we're here for a good 20 minutes, right? So you pour the water 3 times over your dominant hand, and then 3 times over your other hand. One part I love about this is that you should take your rings off first. Unless, however, you never remove them. And then at that point, they're considered a part of your hand. And that's what it is with my wedding ring. It's a part of my hand. So I don't remove it when I do this. And then you say the blessing, which is very easily findable. What I did is I just went ahead and put it in a lucite frame, and we've been leaving it near our sink. And I know you all know I love mindfulness. I love everything about that. And washing our hands has been so pivotal during this time that I felt like it would be the right thing for us to add this ritual of washing the hands. By the way, it doesn't happen just any time. It happens before you eat bread. And actually, it's about at least 2 ounces or so of bread. So it's not really for that sushi meal. You know, you can definitely tailor make things to suit you, but traditionally that's the way it goes. And so we have it right here by our sink. And we've been practicing that for about a week or so to see how we feel about that. And it really does give you a moment to stop and do another Jewish thing with the body. And for me, every opportunity that I have to stop and do something Jewish with my body, I just feel holiness, and I just feel grateful to have stopped the world and not running through without paying any attention. So I don't know if something speaks to you here, maybe Havdalah. We have a ram's horn because, you know, we have that act too. And then one more thing.
What would that be?
I don't know. Y'all are going to think I'm really silly. Louis Dobin, I hope you're watching.
No way. I'm ready.
You know, we bathe our kids in all of this. And you know, Liz popped on for a second, and both her kids were at Levine, and Ezra is at ECEC, and they literally walk down halls with fingerprints, you know, 8 of these, right, make a Hanukkah and things like that. And I just love what the kids get. They are just immersed. Immersion's a better word.
Right.
Oh, we have an immersion thing for Jewish people too, don't we? But immersion's the right word. They are immersed in Jewish ritual and finger painting it and tracing the Hebrew letters. I want that for grown-ups. I want to be able to go to a Jewish camp, and Barry and I have done the meditation programs, you know, and things like that. We've done that, and it's awesome, but that's not exactly what I'm referring to. I want to go do the JCC like I did when I was a kid. Only I want to sleep there, and I want to do Jewish art, and I want to do Jewish cooking, and I want to do Jewish songs, and I want to do Jewish dancing, and I just want to go somewhere for a week when it's okay to have my Jewish camp experience as a grown-up. You know, Green Family Camp was having, of course, before everything, they would have family retreats. And I think that's as close as you get. But I'll tell you, when this thing is over and we have a chance where we can be together in tighter quarters and celebrate each other without a mask. Oh, well, Jeremy loves to comment.
Oh, that's so nice of him. It's a little camp. It's called a Jewish. I can't see it very far without my contacts.
He says it's called
it's called a Jewish old age home. Thank you, Jeremy. That's awfully sweet.
He volunteers to send us.
What a good guy.
I'm sure that the other siblings just said. But that's my idea. When are we going to have a Jewish camp, you all? Super, super fun. Art projects, everything. That's my spiel today.
Wow, that's a lot of spiel. And it's amazing all these different kinds of rituals that we have.
It is, isn't it?
It kind of keeps us who we are and brings us back. So even on a Shabbat, when we don't have anything to, you know, it's Shabbat, you think that you have to give up all those different things. In fact, and Rabbi Stern, David Stern's article in the paper this morning, it mentioned about how hard it is and sometimes how you have to give up stuff on Shabbat. But it's not really giving up. It's actually, it gives you chances to do other things.
Right.
So that's what we do.
That's true.
Wow. Camp.
Oh, Judea. Thank you, Jonathan.
That's so silly.
Lolly says, where's the challah? Come on, you guys. You want to see it before the Torah portion, or you want to do the Torah portion first?
I think it'd be kind of cool if we saw it before the Torah portion, because it'd be fun.
All right, here's the situation. The situation is this.
I mean, I can't wait to see it. Everyone loves what, there's not a problem, is there, Debbie?
I'm going to my bread maker. I want you to know that my bread maker is something like 25 years old, from the plate and the platter. on Lovers in Dallas. So here's the challah. But it's coming. It's not a problem. It's not a problem. But this is the dough in my bread maker, which needs to be tossed out in a second onto my baking sheet with flour and braided. But I was in a pickleball match today.
How'd you do?
We rocked it.
Very
We
good.
rocked it.
Congratulations.
So I'm a little behind in my embodiment practice of braiding my challah, but we have plenty of time, so you don't see it growing yet. But it's only 4:20. At 4:30, if I have it braided, I bake it at 5:45. We're ready for services at 6:15 on the money.
Rocking and rolling.
Rocking and rolling. What do you got?
Well, it's funny that you mentioned all these different kinds of rituals. So this week's Torah portion is Lech Lecha.
Whose bat mitzvah was Lech Lecha?
Let me think a second. Oh, just a second. I got it. Caroline's bar mitzvah is Lech Lecha. So it goes, Vayomer Adonai el Avram mitzar v'ka. Mitzar mi'artzaka. And it basically says to, God speaks to Avram at the time, you shall leave this land. You shall leave where you are. You shall leave your father's home. You shall leave everything you're familiar with, everything that you're familiar with, and go to the land I will show you. Now, he says there's going to be a few hardships. Well, hardships, famine, drought, family squabbles. It's like a regular Peyton place during this Torah portion. And then they end up, enough of that, there's a rescue operation to go get Lot. He's in trouble again. And they end up going and it's time to have a baby. So everything that Avram is talking about, saying, listen, I thought where I was going to have someone, you've kind of mentioned it in the conversation, and God informs Avram that he is going to have a baby. In fact, go outside of your tent, look up in the stars, and if you can count all the stars, that will give the idea about how many people or nations that you'll follow you. And so then he goes on to talk about how great it's going to be for Abraham. He says, right, but what do I get? Do I get something? So he actually asks God, what's in it for me? And he says, you'll have a son. He says, you'll have a son. And of course, Avram says, I'm getting kind of old in the tooth. I'm like over 90. And so, in fact, it's going to take some time. So he says, you'll have a son, and we're going to give you a commitment between you and me. And that commitment is going to be a brit, a covenant.
A Brit Milah.
A Brit Milah. And it becomes what we, of course, now is a circumcision. And it was tough on Abraham because God changed his name from Avram to Abraham because he'll be a father of nations. But he also just follows that up immediately and says, Sarah's name will turn from being Sarah to Sarai, a princess, or the queen of the following nations. It's an incredible portion. There's so much even more than I'm talking about, but I just think of all the paradox of between them leaving with nothing, and none of these rituals existed, and what we have today, and all the rituals that have come about because of this particular Torah portion. It wasn't for him and his family, and it wasn't for her and her family. It was because they, Abraham and Sarai, came and committed themselves to God. And it changed everything.
They took a risk.
They took a huge risk. And imagine what it took. And this, I even mentioned the worst. How about going to Pharaoh, and he's worried about Pharaoh's going to kill Abraham. Avram at the time thought he was going to kill him. He said, oh my gosh, I tell you what, Sarah, why don't we switch over?
Wait, why would he have killed him?
Well, as it turns out, Sarah was one of the most beautiful women ever. And so if they saw it, the drought goes on. Remember the drought. Goes to Egypt. He says, if they see me with you, they're going to kill me because they're going to take her as their wife. And he says, okay. So he tells Pharaoh, this is my sister. Can you imagine that? So then it turns out that plague hits the Pharaoh's house. Pharaoh comes out and says, listen, you're bad news. Should have told me the truth. Go once again, go. But it's not a leklecha, but just get out of here now. And of course, they give them, silver and cattle and sheep and things like that. So I'm just telling you, this Torah portion is incredible. And it's amazing that this particular portion is where it all begins. And it's about Abraham now and Sarah making this nation that we have today. And of course, we hear, we know about the other two nations that they founded too. But we can't go without always saying the two patriarchs.
Departing is a good thing.
Departing is sometimes a good idea. So that's it for me on the Torah portion. I hope you have a chance to read it. It really is kind of interesting. And Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom, everybody. What else?
That's it with me.
We just want to linger with y'all. This is what's happened now, is we're just like, look, there's Andy, there's Lisa, there's Harold, there's Austin. We just want to linger for another moment before we get on with the day and get ready to light the candles. But maybe you'll join us, and maybe something here sparked your imagination, and maybe there's a ritual out there, a Jewish ritual, that you don't yet feast in. And maybe something will spark you and you'll try something new. You never know what happens from our talks and our get-togethers.
Well, it sure is fun. Love the smell of the spices and everything else you have compiled here. It forces me to remember all the things that we have.
It just seems to me at the end of the day that because God gives us the gifts of smelling and tasting and seeing and hearing and touching, all of our senses, that the more we utilize them, bringing God into those senses with us, whether it's the cloves or the candles or touching the quarter and putting it in the box, it's just an opportunity for holiness. Just like this is what we're doing here together. This is an opportunity for holiness. It's not just a Friday when the sun goes down. Thank you all. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom, everyone. Shabbat Shalom, Debbie. Here she goes.
Here I go.
See you, everyone.